we don't have any more chances unless you want to vote, meet and vote again.
Maybe we should hear from the deputy, because according to the article that I read in the paper, with one of the papers, this is not going to be a tremendous impact.
Well,
what Denise said it was in the paper. Which paper? Today or yesterday?
Well,
so maybe we should hear.
Well, wait a second. We're going to hear from her before we vote. I'm trying to sort out where we're going with this thing, and I'm trying to get it down to basically there's three elements here we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about differences in rates and insurance because that's a ho-hum. They've got better data. They should include that data. Fuel costs. If they don't have better data, they're taking the risk. Why would we argue? So it really boils down to the town clerk, tax collector, planning and land use, the police, and the highway department.
Or different departments.
Or different departments. I guess you have a suggestion you'd like to go someplace else. My opinion is these guys have spent a lot of time. They have a lot better data than we do. I like theirs as a good straw man. If we can agree with theirs, great. If we can't, make a change to it. Why would you go in and introduce a new department that hasn't even been thought about here? I mean, you could. That's your prerogative.
I think one of the problems is that, just because of the calendar, I would find it hard to do the process that I think you're about to suggest, Skip. Because if we go back, we were about to do that.
Yeah, before they offered to do it.
We were about to talk about how we all as a body were going to go back and find that somewhere. And we had time in the calendar to do that. We transferred that responsibility over to the select, and they had the time to do it. They did the analysis. Now, given the calendar, and we have a public hearing coming up in a few days, if we're going to go back and make a separate set of recommendations, I think out of due diligence, that would require discussions with the individual departments. I think we're up against the calendar problem now.
Well, we were going to do that. They asked for the time, and effectively what's happened is that they run the clock. Unless we decide to schedule another meeting to do it.
Well, part of it was us for not, we decided to take off until this time. Everybody was willing to do that. We didn't have to do that. I had 2 more meetings scheduled. Nobody wanted to meet on them.
We agreed to give it to them. And
right. And they've done an admirable job.
If I'm reading this right, the town is now 74,000 and some change below us.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. 3 items that we're looking at are the 125 Memorial Day Fund, either approve it, disapprove it, Lakes Business Park tax sharing 1,500, and the town clerk tax collector position are the 3 items. Well,
it could be. You could look at any. You could look at planning and land use as being one of the items. It's a big change. You could look at.
No, I'm not saying to take any money. I'm saying are we going to approve those 2 items in that first paragraph and reconsider the town clerk tax collector position, which would put the town's number somewhere between theirs and ours?
Well,
is there other items?
My suggestion, if I may,
make it
to help you folks get through this, and I understand where Skip's coming from, but again, looking at the clock, and if you buy into the premise that the selectmen have done their due diligence, then I would start with the selectmen's number, which is the 067 915, and then to that I would consider what you're going to hear from the deputy tax collector as an additional $12,750 for instead of eliminating a full-time position, changing it to a part-time position. So there's a figure for that. $12,750?
It's $12,200.
12.2. So if you wanted to cut to the chase, I would look at it in terms of that 11,067,915 and 12.2, and that could be a way of you.
That would certainly be a way. what about the increase of 24,000 to planning and land use? Because there was a lot of discussion around
But
here.
that's his point. So if we started with the 11067915,
Yeah.
then as a budget committee,
Go
you
through.
guys, you guys could either add to a certain line or subtract a certain line, but at least we have a starting point.
Yeah, well, that's, I
Right.
definitely agree. We have like 3 or 4 items is all we're gonna talk about.
Correct, probably.
Because, unless they wanna talk about
Correct.
insurance.
And just remember, for the record, the Board of Selectmen is presenting a budget that's $74,000 and change less than the budget committee. So it'll be interesting to see when we're all done, if this budget committee calls themselves conservative, puts more money into this budget. We'll see.
Can I make a point?
Yeah.
We're a pot by 74,000 change.
Yeah, you're higher.
We're funding a police officer, I think we discussed 75,000, then
58,000.
Fred had amended it down to 58 to prorate for this coming year.
Yep.
If you, even with this deputy tax collector or this other position, what was it, 12,000 change?
Right.
Then we're still at that 58,000, it's still funded. You follow me?
Yeah, but that's a complex way of doing it. We have a budget here that goes through all
I
kinds
mean,
of
I've got
areas.
issues with some of these cuts and additions, and if you want, I can go over my biggest beef, I mean, or do you want to take this one by one, or?
Let's take it one by one.
Okay.
Major
I'll
one.
follow your lead.
Town clerk, tax collector. Let's have an input from that department and hear what they have to say.
Generally, for some of you who don't know me, but I know Denise had, feels bad she's not here tonight, but you wouldn't want her here. She said she sent a memo to everyone, so I wasn't, I don't know if anyone has any questions for me, but I think it was pretty spelled out. She had come forward to say that, she wanted to do some savings and she could, put forth what she thought would work in our department, and, the 24 hours, cutting 16 was what she felt was safe enough in our department to keep things running at the capacity that we're at. It would, in the paper, I don't think it said anything about, it's definitely going to impact us. We're reviewing our services. We're not sure what we'd have to maybe cut close to the public. I mean, she's got things, we're just waiting to see where it all lands. Because, I mean, we're still very busy.
So you would like to add 12 to...
24.
No, but dollars.
Oh, $12,200. Yeah.
Back in.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a 39,713 decrease, it would be 12,200 less than that.
Right.
And what is that 12,200 buy you?
A 24-hour person.
Another
That's
employee.
keeping, yeah, because we had a 40-hour, which the selectmen does right now. They've eliminated the 40 hours. We were asking for 24 back in.
No benefits.
Part-time, no benefits.
Actually, I think this is probably more for Gus, but what, in between the budget presented and the fact that you overdid the additional cuts we were talking about, what prompted you to kind of leapfrog Denise's recommendation, or Denise's okay, I guess, to reduce it to a part-time and say, no, the whole thing's gone?
A 17th police officer.
Yeah, but you overshot that.
Yeah. We wound up saving additional money
Right.
by all these other cuts, by all these other decreases.
That 58,000 this year, the next year is going to be 75 as well, so we have to look at that as well.
Yeah, well, we're worried about this year.
Could I just ask a question?
Well, he hasn't...
I think
Have you answered?
It's up to Fred if that,
Yeah,
if that answers your question.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
We went right down to the town clerk tax, but we skipped over, I mean, selectmen are not in agreement with the budget committee's decision to reduce the stipend of effective elected officials,
No.
effected officials, yeah.
I think we're going to go.
Does that mean you add it back into this budget, into this total budget, or not?
what we're looking at is our budget, not the budget committee's budget.
No,
Right.
I
So
know,
what
but-
that's saying.
So it's in there.
So it was already in there prior, it's still there, is what that's saying.
So,
It's in at 100%.
okay, so if we approve this as a package, then we just nullified the cuts we made.
In that line item.
To
In that
those
line
elected
item, yes.
officials, yes.
Okay, so
So-
let's move, could we start there and
We're
move to
already
agree
on
with
town
that or
clerk,
not?
we can go back to that one.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to get the big ones out of the way
All right.
first, and then I'll come back to
And,
that.
sorry, Mr. Chairman, just, so as a budget committee, even if we redo that additionally, the selectmen reserve the right to still give the stipends.
Yeah,
correct?
Yeah.
So it would be moot, like, we just care about the dollar item.
that's right. They can do anything they want. All they have is a budget.
Right. And that's why it almost goes back to answer what Dale's question is that instead of just taking an arbitrary number, a bottom number to get us down 57,000, 38,000, whatever number you want to call, we looked at it as specifically where can we make these cuts specifically, because we're going to have to live with it. The town administrative department managers and employees are going to have to live with that. So where can we shave off the additional cost of funding a 17th police officer?
And, there's no way, in my opinion, this isn't a better way of doing it than our arbitrary cuts. They're much closer to all this.
Right.
And so, if we lose a couple of things like stipends or not 50% or 100%, it's a big deal, in my opinion. It's only one person's opinion, but they've done the right thing. Now, do we agree with them that it's the right thing? Well, the place is a big deal is some of these major ones, like tax collector, planning and land use, police, and DPW. Yes.
I'm just looking at it from a utilization basis, Gus. And I see that the town clerk's office is much more heavily used, given how little building that we're doing this year. I am very confused. Normal state of being, what my kids say. But here you are putting more money back into a department whose work level has gone down versus the town clerks, which has been pretty steady, if not up a little bit more. And I just don't understand the rationale of why you would put more money back into a department that's doing less. That was a question.
Okay. I'll be cautious how I answer this question, and I'll try to be as professional as possible. As a individual who ran for the office of selectman and was voted in, I answer to the voters as an individual selectman, and so I take that responsibility serious. So when I'm a selectman looking at the budget, I'm representing the voters. As a representative of the selectmen on this committee, I represent the Board of Selectmen, the majority of the way that the Board of Selectmen voted on an issue or issues. I just want to be clear on that.
How did you vote?
That's where I'm going with it. That's where I'm going with this. That's where I'm going with this. But I want to be perfectly clear. As a selectman, I voted one way to represent the residents, but here at this budget committee, I represent the Board of Selectmen. I just want to be clear on that. I have the utmost respect for Chairman O'Brien and for Selectman Hayes and the dedication that they do and the sacrifices they do to try to be the best selectman that they can be. In not speaking about specific individuals in any department, I want to be clear about that. I'm not speaking about individuals, I'm speaking about positions. I just want to be clear with that. The majority of the Board of Selectmen voted to lay off one employee from the town clerk tax collector's office in order to fund the 17th police officer, in order for us to have tried to get to a 0% budget. I voted against that full-time layoff. Then, to answer Skip's question about planning, the Board of Selectmen, the majority of the Board of Selectmen voted the budget already included funds in the planning and land use department that there would be 3 employees in there. That was already in the budget for their wages and for their benefits. That was already in the budget. When it came to us as a board to vote for the overall budget, I asked the question, if I vote for the budget, does that mean that that part-timer position would be changed to a full-time position? And the answer was yes, because it was already in the budget. So I voted, even though 99% of this, I voted in agreement because we cut all this money out, I had to vote against the budget. Because I personally did not think it was right for us to lay off an employee and then turn around and make a position that was part-time, full-time, and now have to fund that with all the benefits that go along with that, and then all of the legacy costs that are going to go not just for 1 year, but for many years to come. I hope I answered your
Croc TV.